All right, welcome to this week's Tip to Tip podcast. Rolling solo here, tip to tip. So I'm just gonna try to get comfy. I'm looking weird. I'm not used to doing this alone, so we're gonna do it alone. My guest this week and I rescheduled because I want to go over a few things. So, changing the format of the podcast. I went into it a little bit last week. I'd like to go into it a little bit more. I'm going to be interviewing somebody every week, or at least attempt to every week. And in that interview, I'll ask them questions about their lives, how they're doing, where they've been, their history. Hopefully they do something or have some interesting background. I'm going to keep looking at the computer even though the camera's up there. It's a very stressful predicament I'm in here. I'm stressing out. Let's move this a little bit. Woo. Cool. Very stressful predicament. Maybe if I can't see it, then I can move over here. All right, anyways. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. I just want to spend an hour, phones down, eyes up, mouths open. Sounds like a porno a little bit. But just getting to know each other and just seeing what people are all about. I like to get to know people. I like to see what they're about. I have Androids coming on, hopefully in 2 weeks. I got my boy Tommy coming on next week. He's a tattoo artist, so we'll get to know him. And I'm just going to keep interviewing people. So if you're interested in me interviewing you, reach out to me. Or if you're interested in being in the pod, reach out to me. We can go over some things. We could talk. We could, we can figure out where you fit in this equation that I call the podcast, the Tip to Tip podcast. So then I'm keeping the name Tip to Tip because at the end of the podcast, I will give my guest an unsolicited tip, a tiny tip, just the tip. And then if they feel so inclined, I'm going to keep moving. So if you're listening, good for you. If you're watching, I'm sorry. I got my fat showing. And then if they're so inclined, they can give me a tip back. But I also wanted to come on here and do like a little interview of myself. So I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Maybe that'd be good. Maybe I shouldn't fuck with anything. So I do want to thank Danielle and Lindsay last week for coming on. And last kind of spur of the moment came in here. One's a lesbian, one's a Canadian American. And they came up in here and they really upped the ante, showed what this was about. What this was about. We had some issues with the podcast stuff. I'm still working on getting everything to work for me. I'm not a professional, but I just, I like to do this. I like to talk to people. I like to make people laugh. So that's what I'm here for. So a little bit about me. I was born in 1991 on a frosty, chilled February day. I remember it like it was yesterday. I actually don't remember any of it. So I was born. I assume I had some baby years. I've just watched some home videos with the family. I had some baby years, and then at some point I took my walker down a flight of stairs, and it's all been falling and climbing steps ever since. The steps of life, the falls of life, the good, the bad, the ugly. But hey, that's what we're here for. That's life, baby. So I grew up in Garfield. If you're not from around the Ohio area, Cleveland area, Garfield is a suburb, suburb, something like that. I grew up there until senior year. Then I moved out to Nordonia. It's just peas, pods, whatever. I am super into pro wrestling. I got into pro wrestling because I had a friend. His name was Tom, and he was into pro wrestling. I think I was in 7th grade. And Tom was talking about The Rock and Steve Austin and Evolution. This dude named Eugene. And it was, I was making fun of him so bad. I was like, you're such a loser. You know that crap's fake. It's not real. Like, are you dumb? So he asked me, he said, will you give it a chance? Will you watch it? I said, you know what, buddy? We're amigos, we're compadres, we're friends. I will give it the benefit of the doubt. And you'll hear that a lot on this podcast because I'm always trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. Benefit of the doubt, Cam. Right there. Benefit of the doubt, Cam. So I I watched it and I absolutely fell in love with it. The theatrics, the stories, the action, and then it clicked for me when I realized I love the bad guys. It's the only thing I watch where I root for the bad guys. Um, for example, Randy Orton is a wrestler. He won the heavyweight title. He was celebrating with his homies in Evolution, and they were hoisting him on the shoulders, and Triple H was like, boom, and they dropped his ass. And that was so freaking cool to me. How can you turn on your friend? So, yeah, I was really into wrestling. Still am to this day. John Cena heel turn, we would be distraught, demise, deformation, decomposed, something if we didn't mention the John Cena heel turn. That shit was crazy. He kicked Cody Rhodes right in the gonads. And I think in life we've all wanted to kick somebody in the gonads. Somebody who's ahead of us, somebody who's better than us, somebody who's doing all the right things and we're just a smidget behind. You want to shake their hand and kick them right in the Johnson. Or if you're female, because we are a diverse, non-sexist but sexual podcast, then you kick them right in the vagina. 2 lips and a toe, baby. 2 lips and a toe. Oh, that's the name of this one. So yeah, I started liking wrestling, and then the theatrics of it for me was really huge. I loved that. And it was just a big thing. So fast forward, I moved out here. You know, I got mocked a lot for liking wrestling. But I always liked the theatrics of wrestling was my big thing. I liked and still like evoking, which is why I'm here doing the podcast, invoking a reaction and emotion in people. It's something I find a skill. It's not the easiest talent in the world, if you consider it a talent. But getting people to laugh, making food for people, getting people to react to something crazy you say or do. I spent a good chunk of time walking around in a Speedo. And it's just a beautiful thing to get people to react because, and not so much a bad reaction, a good reaction or a funny or a disbelief is what I like because it makes me happy. I like to know that as people we have these emotions and we can feel these emotions. You don't have to just hide them down, tuck them in between your legs like a transvestite in a Parmatown mall. You know, that was just another story. I ran into one of those with my grandma when I was a little kid. Very confusing. Confusing times in general for all of us. But whether you're a transvestite, gay, he, them, us, straight, binary, quadriplegic, or, you know, just a doofus like myself, it's important that we all have something that brings us together. And wrestling, for me, does that. I hope this podcast will do it for some of you. I hope we get to know some people better. And if we don't, screw it. At least I get to know some people one-on-one better for at least an hour or so a day. Well, not a day. You know, a pod. You get what I'm saying. But, yeah, so that's pretty cool. I moved out here. I got very interested in the radio. Wrestling in my head, I always wanted to grow up and be a pro wrestler. As you can see, I am in no shape to be a wrestler. The only shape I'm in is round. Round is a shape. Fuck you if you don't believe me. Booyah. So, yeah, I just, you know, we took a lot of stances when Tip to Tip first started, me and my co-host. And, well, I shouldn't say we just had a lot of opinions. And I think it was trying to invoke a reaction, but it was not the reaction I wanted. I'm here to make people happy, not to, you know, judge you if you're getting a finger put up your tushy. I'm just here to roll with the punches, get to know people, their insights, their differences. Last week we had, like I said, a lesbian, the lesbian. We'll talk about her. And my Canadian-American friend, and they had a really good time. They texted me afterwards and said they had such a good time. They will be back. I think at the end of this month we'll get them back together or separate or, tops on, tits out, tops off, tits out, whatever. Whatever works. So I'm rambling a bit here. I didn't expect to do this alone, but I just want to fill everybody in. I feel like if I expect people to come on here and share stuff about them, I got to be open, honest, spread my cheeks, and let out the biggest fart of truth to each and every one of you. So that's what I'm here to do. I moved out here, had a couple of best friends. I really didn't enjoy school. Like I said, I got bullied a lot. But I also was kind of an asshole. Like, I was a little big for my britches. Wrestling kind of got to my head, and I thought it was going to be like the old John Cena and hustle, loyalty, respect. If you want some, come get some. That's the bottom line, because Grant Knight said so. But nah, man, I was just a scrawny little punk who probably should have got his ass beat a lot more than he got it beat. But along the way, I made a lot of friends, a lot of good people. I had a lot of great teachers, too, I really got along with. I've always been good at talking to people, getting to know people, getting to know their insides and their outs. So that's important to me. That's what we're doing here. Again, if you'd like to be a guest or you know somebody you'd like to recommend to be a guest, there's so many ways to get a hold of me. The best way is tippodcast@gmail.com. If you want to go on a date or send me nudes, that's grantpaul@013@gmail.com. Just in case. Yeah, so, I have a great passion for things. This is one of them. Wrestling's one of them. People, I love people. I like to cook. Cooking is an amazing thing to me. One time, me and a old buddy of mine were out. Oh, man, we were out drinking, I think. And we got home, and we didn't want to stop and get food or something. So I said I'd cook us chicken. And so I'm cooking us chicken, and he knew I was a good cook. He wasn't worried about eating from me. He was, however, mad we didn't stop and get like gyro or something. I think best gyro, little lamb cock in a blanket. So lamb cock in a snuggie, wool for wieners. That's an Amish condom. So, that was a good one. I made myself chuckle. So we came back to my apartment. And I was cooking him chicken, and he was pumped to go eat it. He'd been into it. And it was raw as fuck. And he never let me live that down. Look, dude, I cooked for the guy like 1,000 times. One time I messed up. I'm only human. But yeah, and I got a lot of good stuff I'd like to share with people. Intercourse and bathrooms we talked about last week. I also want to keep some of it PG. Maybe my family wants to watch or listen. And who am I to deny caring a view or a listen? So that's important to me. And it's just important to keep doing this. I went to school for broadcasting. I went to the Ohio Center for Broadcasting. It was pretty cool. I got to be on the radio, the old country show, Mantel in the Morning. And I'll tell you that story here. So I was on Mantel, and there's a good friend I have, an old friend. Her name's Laura, and she's in a band. I wish I could shout it out, but I can't remember it at the time. But a beautiful individual. And me and my other friend, Emily, were going to go see her. We were all interns at Mantel in the Morning. So the night before we were going to go see her, I found out my grandma was in the hospital. And I was like, oh, crap, dude. Before she comes home, I should have a party at her house. Because, it's vacant. It's a vacant lot. And nobody's going to go there the night before. Oh, excuse me. The night before she comes home to check on her or anything. So I invited some people over. I think 2 or 3 people showed up. We played some BP, beer pong, for the non-educated individuals in the party. Then that morning, I got caught. The garage door slammed by me and locked, and I left a trash bag in the middle of the kitchen. So I busted in the screen. To no avail, there was no trash bag. I actually brought it out with me and left it by my car. So I busted the screen and called and told on myself to my aunt for absolutely no reason. So that night, my parents said, you're not going anywhere. I think at the time I was 18 or 19, so my car was still in their name. They said, we're taking your car. If you want to go somewhere, find a ride, buddy. Find a ride. So Emily was new. She did not live around here. She was new to the state of Ohio, is where I'm at. And oh, we're just gonna move up here like this. Screw it. So she drove us, got pulled over. I can't remember what she got pulled over for. I don't think she was speeding, but concert was phenomenal. Laura, as always, was beautiful. So poor Emily went in that Monday to Mantell and had told them what happened. And then it proceeded to get me on the radio. They brought me in. I told the story, and my grandma called in. I had friends call in. And then they made me stand out on Rockside Road, a big main busy road by where the studio was, wearing a sign, like a cardboard over me sign, that said, I lied to the Mantell show and my grandma. And people were beeping at me and stuff. It was pretty wild. It was cool for being a kid. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But yeah, being on that show was cool. That was like my little 15 seconds, minutes of fame. Then I started a podcast with my buddy that passed away called No Morals Radio. We would go to the bar and stuff and record it. Him and I told a story about when we went to Toledo together. I'm not going to get into that because 2 of the 4 people in that story have passed away. And I just don't know if it's my story to tell anymore. So, we're just kicking it. I really don't know how long I'm going to be able to go alone, solo. It is a little odd here with not talking to somebody. I will say, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, that email is the best. You should follow us on TikTok, Tip to Tip Podcast on TikTok. I put a lot of videos up there. Snapchat, I blast out with videos. Tip to Tip Podcast on Snapchat. We're on Facebook, same thing, Tip to Tip Podcast. What else? I'm a big country music fan. I wasn't into country music. I was into like rap because I'm a huge, you just take a peek at me and you're like, that guy right there, he's pimping hoes, fucking bitches, and selling 20-ounce, whatever the hells they are, baggies of something. First of all, could have never been a drug dealer. No matter how hard I tried, even if I had, tried my hardest, drug dealers seem to have to know a lot of things, ounces, grams, and whatnot. And I was never good at math, so I never aspired to be a drug dealer. I guess that's a good thing, though, because I also have a terrible luck, and I get caught a lot doing things. So, I probably said that 1,000 times. But yeah, I love country music, and the reason I say that is same passion with wrestling. My buddy loved country, and he was explaining to me his passion for it, and the way he was describing it and loved it and what the songs meant and how it made him feel, and I was like, I need to start listening to this because I want to be as happy as he is. I want to feel how he does. So I did that. And I love country music to this day. Now this newer country gets a little pippity-poppity for me. Morgan Wallen's a little more poppy than country. Taylor Swift, she sucks a bag of tuna fish. But, I used to love Taylor, Love Story. We were both young when we got started, and now you can't even say the word retarded without her being offended. Right here in 2025. Because she's at the game watching Travis Kelce. I want to puke because I've seen too many shots of her on my television TV screen. The classics. So, yeah, I really love country music. It really speaks to me. Brad Paisley was my first favorite country artist. Man, he has some great songs. Whiskey Lullaby is a classic. yeah, it's just amazing. I love music because it can take you from here to there or back to there. Past, future, present, extended to an extent of time where you can't, like a time machine where you travel to get where you were going, where you used to be, but is now where you are because of that song. And that's important. That's important in life. It's important to remember where you came from. It's important to know where you want to go. And it's important to listen to the Tip to Tip podcast. Because without Tip to Tip, you're just tipping all alone. Am I right, tippers? Give me a hell yeah. No, nothing? Sound effects? Oh, I don't got a sound effects guy. So, yeah, same reason I'm passionate about Marvel movies. I love Marvel. I'm a huge nerd, as you can see by the Funko Pops in the background. Huge nerd. This lotion's not for dirty deeds. My aunt made this lotion. All natural. It's in here on the couch because my elbows are dry. So I was doing it while I was watching TV. Yeah, so I just really, we got some good listeners, people that consistently listen. My boy Danny. Linda, I know, listens quite frequently. Nicole, Danielle, people listen, and I like that, but I want more people to listen. I want to be the hearing aid for people that can't hear, but can hear this podcast. And I want them to listen and hear these interesting people. Because it's not all about me. The people I'm bringing on here, I want to be heard. Like I like Tommy, the tattoo artist, coming on next week. Have you ever wondered why somebody got into tattoos? How they got into tattoos? What's the weirdest thing they've ever tattooed? Ange Rhodes is coming on. Shout out Ange. She has great passion for politics, religion, vaccines. But, she's strongly opinionated. And I want to hear her opinions, and I want you to hear her opinions. Because our opinions matter. They're like buttholes, and everybody puts a finger in them once in a while. But it's important you know why you stick a finger in there. I think that's what the saying is. I'm not 100% sure. I might have my parents on. They could tell you how they, not like together, or how they birthed me, I was going to say. But I don't think they'll tell you how they birthed me. It'd be a little weird. Weird for me. Maybe good, interesting for you guys. And we'll just talk. We'll just chit-chat. We'll just shoot the shit. We'll just, let's see how long I've been going here. Sorry to do the phone thing. Yeah, so we'll just get around again. Please follow. Please comment, sharing, telling your friends. All that stuff really helps. I know it seems stupid. If you listen on Spotify, a comment boosts me so people can hear me more. Same with subscribing. I know it pops up in your feed, and you might not think you got to subscribe. I know on Apple you can give me stars. Please do that. If you have any ideas for the podcast, please bring them to my attention. I'm going to get my boy Brian on here. Brian, shout out. He's lived all over the world. I want to hear about his journeys. It interests me how I haven't left Ohio. I've visited places, but I haven't really lived anywhere. And I find it interesting. I want to know if it's weird living other places, or like how other places work. Like, I would love to go to New York City for a week and just live there for a week or maybe a month and try to grasp how different things are. It's got to be pretty phenomenal. But yeah, I'm just a guy out here doing guy things. And, I just want to make people happy. And by your comments and stuff, that you could tell me that'll help me feel good, I'll be honest. And it'll help me believe in what I'm doing even more. I think that's all I got. Like I said, this wasn't going to be a huge, long one. Sorry if you're disappointed. Buttholes in cereal. We talk about that occasionally. But yeah, just, I'd like to talk to somebody that does this OnlyFans thing. We make fun of it. We people judge it. I would like to get somebody on here that I know personally. Talk about that. So shout out OnlyFans. If you do the OnlyFans and you want to come on the podcast, let me know. And you don't always have to be here in person. I'm sure I can figure out a way to zoom it in or something. That's no big deal to me. That's pretty cool. Man, I'm rambling now, I feel like. So, just remember, at the end of the day, tippers, when nothing goes right, just go left. And we'll see you next week. Oh, I gotta go. We'll see you next week. Tip to Tip Podcast. We're on Facebook, TikTok. You can email us at tippodcast@gmail.com. Give me ideas, suggest guests. Maybe we can play games. You let me know. This is our podcast. We're here to tip it all together. If there are any other questions, comments, concerns, let me know. I will see Tommy next week. We're going to see Ange Rhodes after that. Tommy Caperna next week. Ange Rhodes after that. Ange also builds tabletops. That's an interesting thing. I wonder if Tommy's ever tattooed somebody on a tabletop. Shit's getting wild. Here we go. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. See you on the other side. Tip to Tip.